The meta has completely changed in Champions TCG. July 2024 is a reset of everything because now we've introduced heroes. You used to be able to build with every element in every deck. Now, decks are mostly limited to 3 elements, and that means all your old decks are out the window and it's time for new decks. So, this week, I'm trying to post a few of my day 1 decks, the first iterations of decks that I think will become common in the new meta. And I'm excited to say that this deck in front of you, which I'm calling Doon's Delight, named after one of the key cards in the deck, Doon, this deck is crushing. I am 12 wins and 0 losses so far this season. 9 of those wins are with this deck, and then 3 of them are with a fire deck, actually. That deck I think I got kind of lucky with, though. This deck actually seems really, really strong. So let me explain what we got going on here. So, by the way, if you need information about the Heroes update, kind of understand exactly what's up, I posted on Twitter. This is one of my most recent tweets explaining Heroes in Champions TCG. You can go jump over and check that out. Link is in the description. With that said, now that Earth and Nature have been combined into one element, since that's part of the Heroes update, is certain elements got combined. We're down from 12 elements down to 7, I think, 7 or 8. And so with Earth and Nature combined, Nature is now one of the strongest classes in the game. And so we're taking advantage of a list with some draw to give us value in the early game, and then a lot of really sticky creatures for sort of an aggro mid-range type of strategy. We've got a bunch of Aegis, and I'll show you some specific examples in a minute, but we've got a bunch of Aegis as well as Elemental Aegis, and Elemental Aegis, just quick definitions, a creature with Aegis, when it gets hit, does not take damage. Instead, it just loses its Aegis. Elemental Aegis gives a creature multiple stacks of Aegis, so Aegis 2 or Aegis 3, based on how many other creatures of the same element are on the board when it's played. So if you play an Elemental Aegis card like Doon, it says Elemental Aegis, this will get more Aegis stacks based on the number of other nature cards, or Earth and Nature, because now they're one element. Those will give it more Aegis stacks, right? And so we're running a bunch of stuff like that. The goal being to burst out a lot of creatures around turns 3 to 6 or so, 3 to 7, and eventually just have like 2, 3, even 4 plus Aegis stacks on your creatures. And I guess we'll kind of go back and forth between the cards and the deck list. So yeah, one example is Doon. You play this in the early game. And one thing I added in, hold on, where is he? So we're actually playing around with Digga. So one idea here is on turn 2, if your opponent has like 1 or 2 creatures out, you can play a Digga plus a Lily straight into Doon. You can get some Aegis stacks pretty early. In general, Digga is a really nice tool to enhance your Elemental Aegis because it's a 1 cost, 1 mana, so you can play it right before you play Doon or Sand Dune or Earthok, or also Sarkopha, which I don't have in my browser tabs, but Sarkopha is another Elemental Aegis. So all these Elemental Aegis cards benefit really well from this 1 cost card, since you're basically paying 1 to set up an extra Aegis stack, which is almost like getting an extra copy of a creature. Not quite. You can still get countered by Hex, or it could get stolen with Quantum Shift. But the Digga has been a really cool little tech card. I was originally running Mud Kings in this list, but because it's not a control list, Mud King was way too slow. This is definitely closer to aggro in the mid-range bucket. It's more aggro. It's not a control list. However, it is worth mentioning, so we are running a play set of boogers. We're doing nature and dark. So why did I pick dark for the second element? Mostly just for the bog booger line. So we have 2 bogs, 2 boogers, and that's actually... and then we have Vilemoth. I was going to say that's it, but no, we have Vilemoth. So literally that's it. We are not running a lot of death/dark stuff. It's basically all for Booger and Vilemoth. And we go ahead and run the Bogs as well because it's a strong 2-drop and it gives us a chance to evolve into Booger. But we can also use Bog with Bofa, so we can basically play Booger, and we can separately just play Bog plus Bofa for another Booger. Like, Lots of hex opportunities, basically. But yeah, we're using dark for really just a splash. This is mostly a nature deck with a splash of dark. Vile Moth is so nice to have. Now, any deck that wants the Moth needs to run dark, which really makes it a big commitment. It's well worth it in this deck, and it synergizes great with all the Aegis and Elemental Aegis. And then, yeah, the Hex stuff is super strong. And like I said, we got a little bit of greed. We got a little bit of life gain with the life blooms, the cherries, and the sprout. I'm kind of running the one sprout just because I have a promo version that looks really good. Not going to lie. One other card I want to mention, and then we'll get into a sample match. I'll show you guys a deck in action, is Urgok. So even though this is a more aggressive list, I'm still running double Urgok, and that's because I think Urgok is going to be a double auto-include in every deck in the meta. Maybe not forever, maybe some super aggressive lists won't run it, but it's just such a powerful card that creates a tempo swing because you both destroy their stuff and you get the 8/9 creature on the board. Plus, if you are running a Raise Dead deck, anything with Dark is going to have Raise Dead. Then you can bring him back from the graveyard for another Obliterate if it lines up. I think Urgok is just so strong. Maybe eventually like full aggro might leave him out, but I think any deck, pretty much every deck in the game is going to run Urgok. It's so strong. It's just insane right now. I mean, and maybe that's not going to be good for the health of the game over time. We'll have to see. But just purely in terms of trying to win, I think right now you want to run Urgok in every single list. So that's why he's in there. He's just so freaking good. But yeah, 9 wins in a row with this list. Let me show you a feature match and show you the deck in action. And yeah, I'm super excited for Heroes. This is really fun. If you haven't played any games yet, get in there. But yeah, all right, featured match. Here we go. All right, here we go. Up against someone whose name I don't recognize. Pick something. Our hand is excellent. We have 3 2-drops and 2 4-drops, including a Greed in the opening hand. So we'll keep that. Pass the turn. They're playing the passive, the wild card. So they're playing all elements, 40 HP, no evolutions. That might mean that they just haven't updated their decks yet. It's definitely possible. I'm going to play business first, get the draw. We're usually doing that, usually going for greed first when we can, which makes it a little more of a mid-range type of strategy. If we're going fully aggressive, we'd really just want to be playing the biggest stats possible turn 1, turn 2. Whereas with greed, we're more often passing turn 1, greeding on turn 2, bursting on turn 3 to 4. But that seems to work okay, because maybe, this is all kind of experimental, but maybe everyone's so busy trying to learn control strats that they're kind of forgetting about good old mid-range. Now, with Blazebark on the field, I don't really want to play Brunn, because one Blazebark Wildfire Charge will kill the egg. Sprout is tempting. Bog is just big Chungus with the stats. I think Bog is good. I don't know. Do I play this egg? Do I play this egg here? Do I play this egg? Do I play the egg? No, I don't want to play the egg. It doesn't feel like the right time. I'd rather save it and use it to enhance my Aegis stacks, because just like Digga, the 1 energy Earth, we can also use this 1 energy Earth card, the egg. And it's useful for evolving, but it's also useful for increasing our Aegis stacks, which is pretty nice. Wow, he Bofas his Blazebark into a Pyro Wood. The Inferno kills my Bog, resetting the board. Okay, that's not exactly what I like. That's not what I like. But we're okay. We can play Grumble into Doon and just start setting up big Aegis. We can just start bursting out the big Aegis. If we play these this turn, they're likely to live. And then next turn with 5 energy, we can go Egg into Sarkopha or something. Make sure you play the non-Elemental Aegis before you play the Elemental Aegis. Play regular Aegis before Elemental Aegis. Make sure. Don't make a mistake there. Here's where the fun should really begin. Here is where it should begin. Dude plays Lavalanche. So Inferno and Wildfire makes me wonder if he's intentionally playing some anti-Aegis strategies. Maybe he did build this deck for the current meta. Maybe it's not a deck from before, because some people are just queuing up with whatever deck they already had, but this guy might be playing around the meta. Okay, so now we can do it exactly like I planned, and we will stick to the plan. So play the egg. Play the Sarcopha. This has 4 stacks of Aegis. The only catch is that it could get hexed, of course. I'm going to trade in the one that doesn't have Aegis, keep my board a little stickier, and we're going to do 4 damage to face, ignoring the Bofa. When they're only at 40 health to start, I tend to be a little more aggressive because it just doesn't take that much to get them in range where they're almost dead. Yep, so like I said, we're vulnerable to Hex. We're not really surprised by that. It's going to happen, but it doesn't mean that we're wrong for setting up big Aegis. It just means that they're not like automatically dying. Like, we have to still do the work. So there's a Fungorth play here for sure. We could evolve the egg into Fungorth. We're gonna lose the Doon, I think. Yeah, it loses its Aegis stack. I think that's okay though. This is a strong board clear. Okay, hold on, we're struggling with the game. There we go. Clear the board, and then we can follow up with... We got options, actually. Let's do Sprout, Self, Buff, and then Doon. We're just continuing to set up a mid-rangey board. This is actually a slower opening than I usually get with this deck, but as you can see, we're able to keep putting down these sticky creatures. This is actually one of the stronger wildcard decks I've seen. Like, most wildcard decks I've played against just have died. This guy's actually got some juice. I think we'll go ahead and we'll obliterate Terratoys. Another option... Oh, we actually have the double Hex. Let's do that. So, Booger, Terratoys, they get Comedy, that's fine. Evolve it to Bladooz, get rid of the Timber Fawn. And we can clear these out easily. And now we're in the winning position. That's GG. As soon as you get above where the board clears can get you... Before 9 energy, especially, so they can't play Cyclonius, or if they're just not running air. In this case, they can have air, so they probably have Cyclonius. But as soon as you get here, you're pretty much in the winning position. Now I don't have to think too hard. I'll just obliterate their other Terratoys, play the Earthok, all face, and next turn will be GG. So it's just... It happens quick, you know? You fight for the board, fight for the board. If you're able to establish a strong and sticky board... in the mid-game, you can usually just win from there. That's been my experience. This has been a little bit wacky. I mean, I haven't played against any decks quite like this. It's like a sort of like a mid-range, control-ish wildcard deck. I think they're definitely still experimenting, but I think the Doon's Delight is a really, really strong deck for this meta. For the day 1, week 1 Heroes meta. I don't think this is the only thing, but this seems to be one of the first things that people are finding, and it's damn strong. It's damn strong. I can confirm. Yeah, so the links are in the description. Please like and subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching. There's the GG. And guys, get in the ranked queue. Get onto the battlefield. Try some games. Don't be intimidated. It's really fun. It's a brand new game out there. And I think you're going to love it once you start playing. All right, thanks for watching. Flux signing out.